Okay.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Tamara Keene, and I'm the Program Specialist for the English Learner Services Department. I'll let Beverly Weber introduce herself as well. She's a member of our department.
Hello. Thank you for being here today. I'm looking forward to talking with you. My name is Beverly Weber, and I'm the Student Learning Coach for elementary schools in Twin Rivers.
Wanted to let you know that at the end of this presentation, you will receive a copy of this electronically via email. You will also receive a parent resources document with several different links for you to access additional resources. So at any time during this presentation or after, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or Beverly if you have any questions, and our information will be on this presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. I've never done a Zoom presentation like this, so please let me know if I am speaking too quickly, or if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. We're going to start with the big acronym in the English Learner Services world, and that acronym is ELPAC, the English Language Proficiency Assessments for California. And you'll see on the slideshow that this is a link you can click to, elpac.org, which takes you to all the parent resources for this site. The ELPAC is a test that your students will receive once they come to the United States, or if they enter a U.S. school district for the first time. It's an assessment that addresses 4 domains: your students' ability to read, write, speak, and listen in English. There are 2 different parts to this test. The first is the initial. Your child will take the initial one time only, usually at entry into the United States. This is a test to determine if your child needs language services. It determines proficiency status. Any assessment for ELPAC that your child receives, you will definitely get information in the mail regarding the date of testing and the type of test, whether it's initial or summative, to let you know, and you will receive your child's score in the mail as well. The summative assessment is taken every year. It is an assessment that measures, again, the reading, writing, speaking, and listening in English. This is a test that a student takes every year until he or she or they reclassifies. And I will address reclassification in a few slides. But many students, the summative test helps them to get other information. It helps teachers to know how to best support them. And it gives you as a parent information as well, so that you can support them at home. And I will talk more about that. This is the first year in California that the ELPAC has been computer-based. Before, it was a paper and pencil test for the reading and writing portion, as well as the listening. So the student for the listening will hear something on audio and then respond. So now, this year, we have computer-based ELPAC. So all domains except for the speaking portion are done on the computer. The speaking portion is done with a Twin Rivers employee who has been trained. It is a one-on-one portion with your child. What you see here is an example of what you would receive in the mail. It is a student score report. If your child is an English learner in the state of California, you will see one of these every year in your mail. It's the summative breakdown. So you'll see these two categories. The oral language category, which covers speaking and listening, and the written language category here, which covers reading and writing. All of these scores will come to an overall score, level 1, 2, 3, or 4. That score gives a lot of information that you and the institution needs to support your child. So if your child is in secondary, which means grades 7 through 12, this score also helps to determine their placement in an ELD course. This assessment gives teachers information so they can plan instructional supports for your student. For example, if you have a child who is struggling specifically in reading, the ELPAC score domain breakdown will show your child's reading results. The teacher can use that information to give specific designated supports to your child during class, so that your child will be able to build language acquisition specifically to their needs, and the teacher can really help tailor that one-on-one or small group instruction to support the kind of language acquisition development needs your student has. Additionally, the ELPAC monitors progress, so you, as well as the Twin Rivers District, can monitor your students' growth from year to year. So you may see that your student grows in all 4 domains from one year summative to the next. We will talk about reclassification, but reclassification is also determined in part by the ELPAC score. This year, because of COVID-19, not all of our students were able to take the entire ELPAC assessment. We have some sites that were able to complete the test, but not all sites were. So you may not receive that information on your child like you normally would when they would have taken the test in the spring. So once Twin Rivers has a plan from the state to ensure all students have been ELPAC tested, communication will go to families so that you are aware of when your child will need to complete the assessment or to take the assessment for the first time based on this school year. This link will take you to parent resources. If you have any questions about the ELPAC assessment, or if you want more information, you can also look at a sample test. Additionally, you can look at sample parent communications to see what you can expect to receive in terms of ELPAC information for your child. When a student is reclassified, they are no longer designated as an English learner. They are now designated as Reclassified Fluent English Proficient. And this acronym, RFEP, is the acronym that you will see when your child is reclassified. There are several different pieces of criterion that are used to determine that a student can become reclassified. When a student is reclassified, they no longer receive the designated support from their teachers for the language support that they would be getting while they are an English learner. These are different criterion that determine reclassification status. However, a student does have to have a performance level 4 to be able to reclassify. If your child is able to reclassify, you will be notified, and your child will still be monitored for 4 years. We want to make sure that your child does not fall behind when they're reclassified, and that if there are still services that need to be put in place for your child after reclassification, that we will monitor that through grades, classwork, and assessments. Many families ask us, how can I support my English learner with language acquisition? We are currently in very different times right now, so you may be spending a lot more time at home with your child. We want to encourage you to celebrate multilingualism. Being bilingual or multilingual is an amazing asset. Encourage your child to read, write, speak, and listen in English, as well as your home language. You can ask your child to explain their coursework to you in English or in your home language. In order to really help them build that language acquisition, try to encourage them to read, write, speak, and listen to something in English daily. Even if your child is watching TV, turning on the closed captioning in English gives them an opportunity to read in English while they are listening in your home language. Many teachers in Twin Rivers are creating videos for their students. Take opportunities to watch the videos with your child. Talk with your child about why education is important. Many parents often ask their child, how was school today? What did you do at school today? Here are some additional questions that you can ask your child to give them opportunities to practice speaking. You can ask these questions in English or in your home language. You can also ask the question in your home language and ask the student to respond in English or vice versa. Some things you may ask, especially during distance learning, are, what are you learning today? How will you spend your time? What project are you working on? What are you learning? How can I help? As many of you know, younger children like to check off items as they complete them. Help your child to make a to-do list. Check off the items with your child. Again, you can do this in Spanish, English, Farsi, any language to really encourage the use of language at home. All teachers in Twin Rivers are offering office hours. If you haven't already, learn when your child's teacher is offering office hours. Sit with your child and write any questions down that he, she, or they may have about the coursework. Help your child to engage in office hours with their teacher. This helps them to continue to connect with their teacher, to practice language, and to be connected to school while we are home during COVID-19. If you have a child in Twin Rivers who is in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, these are ELD courses your child may be enrolled in. Once the district has an updated ELPAC score from your child, the district determines placement. ELD 1A and 1B take 2 blocks. One block is the language development block. The other block is the English block, where they would go over more the reading and writing based on the Common Core standards for ELA. The curriculum for this course and the other ELD courses is called ILET. If your child was enrolled in ILET during this school year, he or she or they have an ILET computer. If your child has ILET on their schedule from this year, they currently have access to a library on their computer of over 5,000 different books in 48 different languages. Encourage your students who are enrolled in ILET to look in the library and see if there are any books they are interested in reading. In addition to reading books on their ILET computers, there is also an audio option. If students wanted to listen to one of the books in the library, they could listen in their home language or in English or both. Students that are in ELD 1, 2, and 3 are also enrolled with this course and use the ILET curriculum. The ILET curriculum is on a completely computer-based platform. Teachers who teach ILET are still using ILET curriculum and material to teach your students from afar. You may see recorded videos from your teachers, and they may be teaching from ILET. You will see on their screen walking through the curriculum. If your child is a long-term English learner, someone who has been in the United States for 6 or more years, who has not been able to reclassify, they will receive a special intervention course called Academic ELD. Academic ELD is an intervention course targeted to specifically help long-term English learners gain enough language acquisition to reclassify, especially before graduation. If you have a 7th or 8th grader in Academic ELD, they would be enrolled in this class utilizing a curriculum called English 3D, Course B, Volume 1. If your child is in grades 9, 10, 11, or 12 enrolled in Academic ELD, your child will be enrolled in this course and utilize English 3D, Course B, Volume 2. Just like ILET, many academic ELD teachers are making videos and teaching live lessons utilizing this curriculum. If you have a secondary English learner, you may want to ask your child about what they are learning in their ELD class. How are they practicing their English? What are they reading about? How is their teacher helping them learn more English from afar? During this time, you may have a lot of questions. There are lots of different resources Twin Rivers has available to support you and your family during COVID-19. If you have a question about a child's course, an assignment they received, or a resource from the school, you may want to contact your child's teacher. Right now, the most effective way to contact your child's teacher is via email. If you have a technology-related problem or issue, for example, I am having a hard time signing into my computer, or the sound on my computer isn't working, and my child wants to listen to their teacher's videos. Something is wrong with my device. Please call or email the Twin Rivers IT department. You will receive this presentation immediately after, so you can click on any of these emails and you'll have this information if you need to contact them immediately. If you have a personal concern regarding your child, please do not hesitate to contact your child's teacher, counselor, or principal. Social emotional health is incredibly important right now. If you feel that your child needs additional supports, or if you need resources to be able to continue supporting your child's social emotional health while we are not at school, your child's teacher, counselor, or principal are great resources. Please do not hesitate to reach out to them at any time. If you are in need of student services, school nurses, counselors, homeless family support staff, or foster care liaisons, this would be the phone number to call during these hours, Monday through Friday. If you have a question or have concerns directly related to your child as an English learner, please do not hesitate to reach out to our department. The English Learner Services Director, Bradley Allen, is available by email. We want to support your child and their language acquisition in any way and want to make sure your questions are answered. If you have a digital issue, for example, your student can't sign into a Zoom class or your student can't submit work, please contact your child's teacher or a site leader, such as a principal or vice principal. Many teachers in Twin Rivers have set up Google Classrooms for your children's classes. Getting enrolled in the Google Classroom can be tricky. The link on this slide will take you to a list of different videos in all of these languages. If you need additional support learning about how to use Google Classroom. If you do not see your home language on this list, please contact our department and we will support translation services to ensure you are able to learn about how to use Google Classroom in your home language. Twin Rivers teachers have sent out a Google Classroom code. Please make sure you contact your child's teacher or check email to make sure you have the code before trying to use Google Classroom. There are many resources right now available for distance learning. These are general resources that I have looked through and vetted with our department to give you as options for supporting your children during this time. This distance learning toolkit has social emotional assignments for your students. Again, I want to reiterate, social emotional health is incredibly important right now. Children are not seeing their friends every day at school. They are not able to talk with their teacher or an adult at school that they are used to seeing almost every day. Their days look very different. And all of this change happened overnight. Please be aware of your child's social emotional health. These assignments help you as the parent get a pulse on how your child may be feeling. These webinars for families may give you more information about how to navigate developing a routine at home for your family while everyone is adjusting to distance learning. There are also fun activities in this toolkit, such as virtual field trips, so your children can virtually participate in seeing things like the zoo or a museum. This Distance Learning Resource Center, this link, offers advice for parents during COVID-19. There is no right or wrong way to do things right now. We are all learning how to navigate this. This advice may be helpful if you have questions about how to best support your children during this time. This resource provides opportunities to look through guidelines for screen time, resources for technology supports, STEAM activities you and your children can do at home, or your children can do with one another at home, a library of entertaining and informational TED Talks. If you and your child have not watched a TED Talk together, this would be a really fun activity. TED Talks are really engaging, and you can turn on closed captioning to listen and see the words from the TED Talk. There are also virtual museum tours under this resource. If you have questions about how to access or utilize any of these distance learning resources, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or to Beverly Weber. As I mentioned, you will receive a document with a longer list of additional parent resources. These are some of our favorites. I will let you click around when you get this slideshow, but I do want to point out the Colorin, Colorado page. Colorin, Colorado is an incredibly informational and supportive website for families who are bilingual, multilingual, or who have students at home who are English learners. This link which takes you to Empowering ELL Parents and Families at Home, has an abundance of helpful information for you to navigate this time with your English learner. The First Words Project is another great resource. It may be more appropriate for younger children, but focuses on how to encourage and support literacy for your young children through everyday activities. This is a list of apps you or your child could download on your phone or computer to support learning language. Most of these apps are free or are free for the first 30 days. I have personally seen great success and engagement with Duolingo, and I know many people in our district are currently using it. Mind Snacks is a fun app for younger students who are learning English. Mind Snacks has a lot of games, so the child doesn't usually realize he, she, or they is even learning.
Hello, I would like to talk to you about some of our favorite resources for having story time and learning about information in your home. Reading with children is so important. It helps them learn about the world, about language, and it helps us as parents form a special bond with our children. Luckily, some excellent websites provide stories, information, and activities for your children. Here are a few. The first one is called International Children's Digital Library. This resource has books in more than 20 languages, fully translated. Click. Thank you. Another resource that is fantastic has stories from around the world, and not just stories that are translated, but stories from many countries that, in fact, many that you might have heard from when you were a child. This is called Global Storybooks Portal. Next slide. And there are links for each of these. Another one is called Sabe Bilingual Storytime. This is an exciting storytelling website. The stories are read to children virtually by teachers who speak many languages. Another one is called, go ahead and click, sorry, Unite for Literacy. Unite for Literacy has stories and informational text in over 45 languages, and including many languages from countries with indigenous languages. And you can click English to hear the story in English, or you can have it in another language. This is a wonderful site, and it has stories. Some of them are songs, some of them teach about science and history and social studies as well. Next slide. A fantastic resource that many of you may have seen your teachers include in their virtual distance instruction is called BrainPop. BrainPop is a wonderful site that teaches children grades from kindergarten all the way up to high school. And there are 3 versions of BrainPop. There is BrainPop the first one you see on the screen, and that is for the grades 3rd grade all the way to high school. The next one is called Brain Pop Junior. That is specific for kindergarten through 3rd grade students. And another one is called Brain Pop ELL. And Brain Pop ELL is for children of all ages. The focus on Brain Pop ELL is for English learners. There are language lessons that follow stories and informational text that's read. The most outstanding part of Brain Pop is there is learning about content, about science, social studies, math, arts and sciences, and all of them are followed up by activities and continued learning opportunities for you and your family. Again, many teachers are using Brain Pop as they have given access to all teachers from now until the end of the school year. So for families and for educators, this source is free right now. Next slide. As a parent, I always loved learning about ways to teach my children. I want to share one vocabulary game that you might want to play with your kids to help them learn some new words. So for vocabulary game time, you will pick a word from a story or from an informational text that you're reading. Share with your child what that new word means and give them a definition in words that they can understand. We call that kid-friendly definitions. Here's an example. Enormous. Enormous means something that is really, really big, kind of like the watermelon you see. You might ask your child, what would it sound like in everyday life? And you might ask them to tell you, and if it's a tricky one, you might give them an example. I want to eat a bite of that enormous watermelon. Then ask your child, what would it sound like in everyday talk? Have them think of a way to use the word in a sentence. What enormous thing can you think of? And give them some think time. Maybe give them a chance to look around the house for something that is enormous. If it's tricky, say, that's right, the truck is enormous, for example. But don't stop there. Take time to use these new words at home in the coming weeks. And you might have to ask them this when you're outside. For example, did you see that enormous butterfly? You can even write the words on pieces of paper and put them around the house. Keep a list of the words that you and your family are learning so you can keep the learning going. So have fun and be sure to try a new word with your family in vocabulary game time. And you will be receiving this activity and another game also called Picture This in some resources that we'll be sending you. Have fun. Let me know if you have questions.
Thank you, Beverly. I want to show you briefly. This is the document you will be receiving after this webinar. Again, we have included a list of many different resources for you to utilize while you are supporting your children at home during distance learning. We want to encourage you to remember how very important it is that they continue to practice English every day. Even if they are talking to their stuffed animal, your pet dog, encourage them to read, write, speak, and listen to some form of English so that they can continue to progress in their language acquisition instead of regress. On this document, the first link is where you will see district information. Any updates you need about the district or communication from our district to families can be found here. Additionally, there are several links to different libraries that have lots of different books for your family to listen to or read together, or for your child to listen to or read independently. This parent toolkit is also very valuable if you need additional resources for facilitating distance learning at home. If you have questions about any of these resources, if you want more information, or if you see something on here that you would like to try at home, but maybe you want to talk through how that would work, or maybe you want some ideas for how to use it with your English learners, please do not hesitate to reach out. Our goal is to support you, to support your child, so that he, she, or they comes back to school ready to continue their English progression. If you want to talk about anything that you learned in this presentation, please reach us at these email addresses. Beverly or I, or anyone in our department, is happy to support you. We ended a little bit early. If you have any questions in the chat, feel free to leave them. We will get them translated and get back to you as soon as possible. Again, do not hesitate to reach out to us or to leave your questions in the chat. We want to make sure you feel supported and informed during this time. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for taking such good care of your English learners and their language acquisition during COVID-19. Please stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you.